Hey YouTube, my name is Musab and today I'll be starting a new series Python tutorials. And this is the first video, topic variables. So this video is for newbies to Python, who don't even know what Python is, or people who have done some Python programming a bit and click this video to know what is actually Python. So in this video we'll be discussing about what is Python, Python installation process, print function and variables. So let's begin. What is Python? Python programming is one of the most common programming language used by many small programmers to large companies, for example, Google, Microsoft, and etc. It was invented by Guido van Runze, named after a circus named like Monty's Python Flying Circus. Its first version was released in 1991, and Python is used by many educational institutions as the introductory programming language in computer science. And on the bright side, Python has a simple syntax. And Python is also used by many applications and websites and is also popular for data analysis and scientific research purposes. Now we are going to install Python interpreter. Let us go to python.org, and in the downloads tab we have to download Python 3.9.1, which is the latest version which Python has released for now. The PC I'm using right now is a 64-bit, so that's what we need. Let's install it. Run the installed Python application. Make sure you click this add Python 3.9 to path and you're good to go. Now for the development tool, we'll be using PyCharm. For that, visit www.jetbrains.com/pycharm/downloads, link in the description. Install the community version of the PyCharm because PyCharm is one of the best development tools out there. Now we are in PyCharm community edition setup. Next, program file, save your program files. Click 64-bit launcher, add open folder as project, add launchers to dir to path, create associations. Next, then install. Now we are here to create a new project. Click the new project icon and it brings you to a new tab, a new window. Just keep the default name like Python project. The interpreter has been already chosen by default and you can create. So after creating a new project, this is the file which opens the main.py. So now let us create a new Python file. Go to new, then Python file. Let us rename this thing. Let me rename it py. Then and here is your brand new Python file. Okay, what's a print function? The print function prints or returns the given message on the screen. This message can be a string or any other value. The value will be converted to a string before getting printed. So let's try an example. For example, print, then comes parentheses, then let me print hello world. Okay, that's just okay. So see, I have printed hello world, right? So to write a print function, it starts with print, then enclose it with parentheses. Make sure you use curved brackets. Don't use square, like curly brackets or square brackets. If you use those brackets, it will definitely raise an error. Okay. So now to print a string. Now we are going to print a string. To print a string, enclose them with quotes. You can use double quotes or single quotes. Now let me use double quotes. Hello, right? Yeah, I successfully printed a string. So now let me print using single quotes. For example, cat. Yeah. Okay, what will happen if I print with like print strings without like without quotes? For example, good. If I print this, it will raise an error because like this good will be considered as a variable which we will be studying soon. Okay, now let us print numbers or integers. To print a number, you don't need anything like quotes or double quotes or single quotes. You can just directly enter, for example, 54, print 54, and you have got 54. So what will happen if you enclose these integers with quotes? If you print this, it will print 54, but the thing is there's a problem. The Python wouldn't consider this as a number or an integer. I mean, you cannot do mathematical calculations with this. But if you type in without using quotes for integers, you can definitely use them for calculation. And there are some stuffs to note down while using print function or while using strings. Let us look at for print functions first. As I said, do not use any other brackets other than curved brackets. If you use them, for example, like this, if you use them curly brackets, let me print a string with using a curly bracket. See, it raises an syntax error. Now let me print this string with square brackets. It raises a type error, right? And now let me change this thing. What will happen if you quote at one side, if you use one side using quote with one side like single quote and the other side with a double quote? What will happen is it will raise an error. If you're quoting a string, make sure you use both the sides with the same quotes. You quote both the sides with the same quote. If you're using double quote, use double quote. If you're using single quote, use single quote. Yeah. And now let's move on to our next lesson, variables. What are variables? In Python, there is no command to declare a variable like in other programming languages. A variable is created as soon as you assign it. For example, let me assign a variable x to a string hello world. Now, if you run this program, nothing will get printed over here because you don't have any output. To create an output, just add a print function and print x. See, I have printed hello world by using a variable. Just print parentheses whatever variable you're using over here, just print it. So you can also print you can also print integers. For example, let me print 34 here. Yeah, printed an integer. You already know, right? Don't use quotes, don't enclose these integers with quotes because the Python will consider these numbers as a string, not as an integer. So now let me create multiple variables. For example, y is equal to hello world, and let me print y. 34, then hello world. 34, hello world. So what will happen if I use the same variable, for example x is equal to hello world. If I print this, let me create this y because we don't have a variable y, right? So if I print this, what do you think will happen? The thing will happen is it will just print hello world. What it does is, here what happens is that the variable x represents hello world, represents 34 till this point, and starts representing hello world from this point. To make you clear with, at this point, let me add another print function over here so you can understand very well. See, print x, so 34, x is equal to 34, then you have an output print x, so you have printed 34, which means x represents 34 till this point. After this point, you have written a program. X changes its, it changes its name. For example, x is equal to hello world, print x hello world, right? That's how it works. So how do you swap between two variables? For example, x is equal to 34 and y is equal to 43. Now you want to x to be 43 and y to be 34. Well, okay, now let me make a simple program. For example, you just make like x is equal to y, x is equal to y. Yeah, you can assign a variable with another variable, which makes whatever content in this variable is what which equals with this variable. For example, x is equal to y, x becomes 43. Then if you use y is equal to x, and if you print these both, print x and then print y, what? It has printed number 43 twice. X is 43, y is 43. I want y as 34 and x as 43. What happened is that x equals y. X equals y means y is 43, right? So now x is equal to 43 from this point. Now you have assigned y is equal to x. Here I already said that x is equal to 43 from this point. So this is below this point. So x is equal to 43. So y is equals 43. So 43. To print, to swap between these two variables, it's a very simple, because you can assign two or more variables with a single line. For example, like this, x comma y equals y comma x. Now let's print it. You have assigned x, you have assigned x to 43 and y to 34. And that's all folks for this video, and make sure you subscribe to my channel. I have linked a PDF file to learn more about, to learn better, have a better understanding about print functions and variables. Link in the description, and I have linked all the download links for both PyCharm and Python in the description too, and you can check out those links out there. Thank you and have a nice day ahead.